In the drama over the Supreme Court, my next guest will have a starring role. Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina is the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, where the confirmation fight over Ruth Bader Ginsburg's vacancy will play out. He says his front row seat in the last two Supreme Court nominations has given him a whole new perspective on the process. Here to share that with us, along with what the timeline may be, is Senator Lindsey Graham, chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Senator, welcome to the Values Voter Summit. Glad to have you back.
Well, thank you. I guess if the Supreme Court nominations are sort of a Super Bowl for our business, this will be number 4 for me. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, and you're in the driver's seat as the chairman of the committee, the president we're anticipating the president making his announcement on Saturday. That right. Sets in motion a process. What is that process?
Well, it's a constitutional process. Every president has the right to pick replacements for the Supreme Court, to nominate judges when there are vacancies, and he will do that. History as a guide, there have been 19 Supreme Court nominations in an election year, Tony, where the president and the Senate were the same party. 17 of the 19 were confirmed. This will be the 20th. When the president is of one party and the Senate's of another, there's only been 2 Supreme Court vacancies filled in the history of the country. So we're operating within norms. Saturday, the announcement will come. It will be a qualified woman, a well-qualified, historically qualified woman. I'll lay out the schedule after the announcement, but the goal is to process the nomination, get it to the floor so that Mitch McConnell, if he chooses, can move forward before the election. That's my goal.
And it now appears that you have enough senators, Republican senators, who have said they support that process once it's put in place and that timeline to hopefully have a floor vote before the election. So why is that important that this unfold before the election?
Well, I think the president believes it's his right, and I can't think of an issue that would show the differences of the parties more than this issue. There is a vacancy on the court. 4-4 is probably not the makeup you would like, with litigation about the election surely to come. Democrats argued that an 8-person Supreme Court was bad for the country. So I think with certain litigation coming over the upcoming election, it would be good for the country to have a 9-member court. And before we get much further, we're celebrating Justice Ginsburg's life. It's an accomplished life, whether you agree with her philosophy or not, which I don't, and I don't think many people listening probably agree with her judicial philosophy, but it was a trailblazing life, and that's to be celebrated. But now it's time for the constitutional process to take over, and it will. You saw Kavanaugh, you've seen Fort, you've seen Thomas, you saw Alito. Why is it always our people who go through these terrible ordeals? The one thing I can promise members here and people listening is that we will start, we'll be firm and we'll be fair, and we'll make sure the nominee is tested but not abused.
A very good point, Senator, and I want to bring that out. Most of our value voters across the country will remember that moment in the Kavanaugh confirmation where you stood up and made an impassioned appeal for literally humanity and justice. Your point is well taken, and in fact, shortly after the passing of Justice Ginsburg, and again, like you, don't agree with her at all philosophically, but praying for her family as they mourn her loss, and I think that's appropriate. But now as we look forward in filling this vacancy, as you pointed out, let me ask you this. What type of battle do you anticipate, given what we've seen with Kavanaugh, which was unprecedented what we saw? What do you anticipate in the next few weeks?
We're going to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. A challenging hearing is appropriate because this is a lifetime appointment. What happened in Kavanaugh was despicable and should never happen again. We were arguing about a party in high school that nobody could remember where it was at, when it occurred, and there was no validation about any of the accusations. As a matter of fact, the people allegedly at the parties didn't recall anything bad happening, and that turned the country upside down. They tried to ruin Judge Kavanaugh's life. Since the passing of Justice Ginsburg, Act Blue, which is the Democratic funding site, has raised over $150 million. I'm up for re-election. My opponent has raised, we think, $10 million. I've done 3. So if you want to help me and others in this fight, lindseygraham.com. We're getting outspent 4-1, outraised about the same amount. I just need enough to fight back. So I expect, given the political donations, that the Democratic Party is on fire. They're looking for a champion to come after this nominee. And if I were them on the Democratic side, I would remember what happened in Kavanaugh. Religious differences abound in America, but I am very much aware of the fact that if it's somebody of faith and they attack the person for being faithful, we'll have a hell of a fight.
Well, I think, Senator, many are prepared for just that, because if we see an appointment to the court as among the selections that are among the candidates being considered for this, this is going to be a significant shift of the court. I mean, we're going to see a court for the last 40 years since the Warren Court and their expansive judicial approach. The ability to have a consistent conservative majority on the court, which means all of those issues, religious freedom, the issue of the sanctity of human life, it's a seismic shift of the court. So I would anticipate a ferocious battle unfolding there in your committee.
Yeah, I think so too. But they're going to have to evaluate. We're going to have a hearing for the whole country to watch. The nominee will be closely watched in terms of disposition, in terms of intellect and personal ability. Their story will matter. If Democrats try to destroy this conservative nominee, they do so at their own peril. In 2013, they changed the rules to pack the D.C. Circuit Court that hears all the adjudication against the government. They thought they were going to win in 2016. And here's what I would say: elections have consequences. And you're going to see that unfold in October. People will be watching TV. There'll be prayer groups. I felt it during Kavanaugh. Judge Kavanaugh, if he moved into your neighborhood, you'd be lucky to have him as a neighbor. Him and Amy are good people. I've known them for a very long time. And you saw an attempt to ruin a very good man's life just to keep the seat open. I am ready to play it any way they want to play it. I'm praying that we have a challenging hearing for the nominee, but it's not embarrassing to the country and the Senate. People of faith, your faith may be subject to a lot of questioning. It's okay to be a religious conservative. It's okay to be on the Supreme Court if you're a religious conservative. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure the person nominated will apply the law to the facts and put their personal beliefs aside, but we're not going to tolerate a country where you're punished for your faith.
So, Senator Graham, are you saying there's a line with which you're not going to let the committee cross when it goes into attacking someone's faith?
Just stay tuned.
Believe me, I will be stay tuned, and we will be watching very, very closely, and so will a lot of value voters across the country. Let me close our time together with this, Senator. You made reference to this, and I don't think people understand that several members of the committee. This is an election year. You are between being in your home state and campaigning for re-election in a tough election campaign. Of course, members of the committee who would vote for a constitutionalist are being targeted in their races, so that's understood. And so we encourage people to stand with those who stand with the Constitution and conservative values. How can people be praying for you and your colleagues as you go into what's going to be, I think, a very, very challenging, difficult, but intense few weeks?
Well, number one, pray for the nominee. Pray that she will have the courage and the fortitude to accept a challenging event and that she can get through something that may get off the rails like it did in Kavanaugh. Pray for me that I'll have good judgment, good temperament, that I will be fair to the other side, that I'll have the courage of my convictions to stand up when it gets off track. We've got great members on our side. Tom Tillis and Joni Ernst are in tough races. I'm in a tough fight. My opponent could raise $100 million. The left hates my guts, Tony, for Kavanaugh, and I've dared to support Trump. I've become, for some reason, their number one target. My opponent raised more money in August than any Democrat running for the Senate, and South Carolina is still structurally a Republican state. But when you're spending $5 million a week on TV ads, everybody in South Carolina will see his TV ads at least 130 times in 1 week. I'm sure it's going to be the same for Tom Tillis, Joni, and John Cornyn. So if you got $5 or $10, send it. LindseyGraham.com. Help us all financially so we can push back. I want to make the court fight the center of my election. I doubt if he does, but I need the resources to make it the center of my election. And you can pray if you can give great. Bottom line is, this is what I came up here to do. This is why I ran for office. This is why you knock on doors and you make phone calls. This is the time for us. This is our time, and we will meet the challenge.
Well, Senator Lindsey Graham, you're doing a fantastic job as chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Grateful that you've joined us here at the Values Voter Summit, and we will be praying for you. And we'll be praying that your sense of humor holds up, because you've got, most people don't realize, you've got a great sense of humor, and I think that helps you a lot in these difficult times. So we'll be watching, we'll be praying, and we'll be supporting the president's nomination to the Supreme Court.
God bless, my friend.